My name is Harrison Graham, and you are watching the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's show. Let's go ahead and jump on into the latest rumors around the Kansas City Chiefs. Will Orlando Brown get franchise tagged again? The NFL franchise tag window opens on Tuesday. Brown's 2023 cap hit, if tagged, would be literally just under $20 million, 19.994, I think is the third digit there, but just under $20 million if Orlando Brown were to get tagged. Here are some key franchise tag dates. I mentioned that the tag window, that's supposed to be, it opens February 21st. Then you've got until March 7th. That's when the tag window closes. So if you're going to designate someone for the franchise tag, you've got from February 21st to March 7th. And then also players have until – or teams and players have until July 15th for franchise tag players to work out a long-term deal. If no deal is reached by July 15th, then you play the next season under the tag, which is what happened to Orlando Brown this last year. So just because they tag Orlando Brown, which they will tag him initially, I'd be shocked if they did not, starting on the 21st, sometime between that and the 7th, they will tag him, doesn't mean he could not get a long-term deal. You have until July 15th. Remember last year we were convinced that both sides would agree to a long-term deal. It didn't happen, but that doesn't mean it couldn't happen this year. So we'll see what happens on that front. More thought and consideration on this topic. Do want you guys to weigh in on the show, though. What do you guys think will happen with Orlando Brown? Will they tag him, or will they let him test the market? Type F for franchise tag, or type T for test the market. What do you guys think will happen with Orlando Brown this offseason? Take a look at Brown's tenure in Kansas City, his PFF grades, plus a couple of other categorical stats. Overall in pass block and run block has been very similar, right? And what's been funny about both the seasons, they've also been similar as well, where early on in the season he struggled a bit, he's given up more pressures. Then he kind of settles in and finishes the season strong. We saw how great he was in the Super Bowl. 4 sacks allowed, 7 penalties versus 6. So he's been virtually the same player for 2 seasons since coming over to Kansas City after that trade with Baltimore. Now, you look at the highest paid offensive tackles in the NFL, 4 left tackles, then Ryan Ramczyk, who's a right tackle. Trent Williams and David Bakhtiari over $23 million. Laramie Tunsil at $22. Then a pretty notable drop-off, $19.75 to Ronnie Stanley, Ryan Ramczyk, $19.2 million. And, I said it last year, $21 million feels about right for Orlando Brown. And if you just kind of want to revisit, I was kind of thinking, didn't they offer him a contract? I couldn't remember. Well, this is what was reported from Adam Schefter, is that no deal got done, but the Chiefs offered 6 years, $139 million, which is over $23 million average, which included a $30.25 million signing bonus and $95 million for the first 5 years. Both sides hope for a new deal after this season. So technically, they would have made him the highest paid on per year average. But remember, this deal, more details came out. It was basically a 5-year, $95 million deal with no guaranteed money on the final year. It was more front-loaded. So yes, the per average over the 6 years was over $23 million. But the 6th year was a long shot to ever happen. They would have cut him after year 5 at the latest. So you look at it this way, it's really just $19 million, and that's less than Ronnie Stanley. And while I wouldn't reset necessarily the market with Orlando Brown, I could understand why he wouldn't take that deal, because he could make more on the open market if he were to reach it. But in the Chiefs' case, they had the leverage with the franchise tag and do once again this offseason. So I see both sides of it. Would you make Orlando Brown the highest paid offensive tackle in the NFL? Type Y for yes, type in for no. This is the pinned comment on today's video. I give my take after this YouTube ad break. All right, so here's my take. Here's what I would offer. I would offer him 5 years, $100 to $105 million, 2021 per year average. Give him 105, $21 million per year. That makes him the 3rd highest paid tackle in the NFL, when he's probably not the 3rd best tackle. He's top 10, but I don't think he's top 5. But I do think I would give him that. And I would give him $70 million guaranteed. 70% of it guaranteed. Otherwise, if he doesn't want to take that deal, he can play on the tag again. You can have him for less than $20 million this year on the franchise tag. So the Chiefs still have leverage for another year. Now, next year they would lose that leverage, but that is what I would offer for Orlando Brown. Again, you let me know if you would make him the highest paid tackle in the NFL. Now, something you should definitely do, spend a few bucks on, is some Chiefs Super Bowl 57 championship gear. Still a lot of stuff in stock. We got hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more when you go to the link on screen below, chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. That is chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. Like I said, tons of gear. There's other little like memorabilia items you can find there as well. Chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. That is chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. Get your Super Bowl championship gear today. And hey, more Super Bowls could be coming down the line. That link will be in the comments and in the description of this video. All right, let's talk coaching staff now. Matt Nagy replacing Andy Reid. It's actually been discussed before. A report coming out that Nagy is expected to be elevated to offensive coordinator. They're going to have to go through interview process and, do the Rooney Rule stuff and all of that. But he is the expected OC for this year. But apparently he could end up replacing Andy Reid as head coach eventually as well. Here's Aaron Wilson, NFL insider for PFN, saying that Chiefs senior offensive assistant quarterbacks coach Matt Nagy expected to be elevated to offensive coordinator after Eric Bieniemy was hired by the Commanders. Nagy is a top candidate to eventually replace Andy Reid per sources. Succession plan is likely in the next 3 years. Now, I don't know about a specific timeline on that, but couple thoughts here. One, I still have questions on Matt Nagy's play calling, but Mahomes does make things easier. I do have questions about that. So if he were to eventually become head coach, is he calling plays or is he delegating that to someone else? I would hope he would have a play caller in place to do that, even if the concepts are, Andy Reid style, his style, etc. Number two, this has actually been rumored before. This was rumored when he took the QB coaching job last season to get back on this staff after serving under Andy Reid for a number of years before landing the Bears job. Albert Breer reported this last year that Matt Nagy could eventually replace Andy Reid as head coach of this franchise for a few reasons. Here are some of those reasons. One, Brett Veach loves Matt Nagy, and they have a relationship that dates back to the 1990s. They played college football together at the University of Delaware, I believe in the late 90s. I'd have to go look at the exact years, but they played together at the University of Delaware. Number two, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes both trust Matt Nagy. So if Reid retires, he would probably give his seal of approval to Matt Nagy to replace him. Number three, albeit it wasn't, a great run in Chicago, he does have head coaching experience, did lead them to 2 playoff appearances, did win Coach of the Year in 2018 as well. And then it would keep continuity, right? Matt Nagy's a guy that's been on the staff for a while. Again, Mahomes trusts him. Brett Veach knows him. So you could kind of, in theory, keep the train rolling if you think he is a worthy replacement of Andy Reid. Now, again, you look at his time in Chicago, and we've talked about this on a few different videos over the past week. Not completely his fault. The quarterback situation wasn't ideal, but a constant theme was that regardless of who was playing quarterback, Matt Nagy never got this offense going in Chicago. Now, again, if you have Patrick Mahomes, it makes it a lot easier, and I don't think it would fall off a cliff without Andy Reid. But when Andy Reid one day does retire, I think there's at least reason for pause before just giving Matt Nagy the keys to the castle, if that makes sense. So just throwing that out there. Not saying he's a bad candidate, but I do hope when that day does come that Brett Veach, if he's still GM, whoever else is involved, does a real coaching search. Will Matt Nagy eventually be the Chiefs head coach one day? Will that happen? Type 1 for yes. Type 2 for no. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. Now, you can subscribe to the channel when news drops, like when Matt Nagy eventually gets elevated to OC officially. We will cover that here on the show. When other storylines emerge, we're going to have you guys covered. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. We got free agency coming up, the draft in April. Going to be a fun offseason as the Chiefs look to retool for another Super Bowl run. So go ahead and subscribe. Don't miss any of it here on the channel. Oh, here's a juicy one. Could Kansas City sign Keenan Allen? Well, first he has to get cut, but Allen is a strong cut candidate per reports because the Chargers are like $22 million over the cap, and they got to get under that number before free agency, and cutting Keenan Allen saves them a decent chunk of change to help do that. And look, this would be quite the twist, right? Because Keenan Allen has talked a lot of trash to the Chiefs over the years, vice versa from the Chiefs side. Obviously, Chargers are a division rival. But Keenan Allen's a good football player, and Brett Veach is a smart GM who always looks to improve this roster. And on the wrong side of 30, you might be able to get a number one caliber receiver for not number one receiver money, because he is a little older. He did have some injuries this past year. Now, he's still really good in 10 games at over 750 yards. So, I mean, if he played a full season, he would have had probably 1,200 yards, 7-8 touchdowns. And it's a bit of a myth that he's super injury prone. Early in his career in this past season, he dealt with a hamstring issue, but from like 18 to 21, he only missed 3 total games. So he's actually been really available for the Chargers in recent years prior to 2022. And with JuJu Smith-Schuster and McCole Hardman set to be free agents, Justin Watson as well, then I think that bringing in a guy like Allen could be interesting, especially if JuJu chooses to take top money elsewhere. Hey, here's my advice to Keenan Allen if he gets cut. Hey, I know you've had beef with the Chiefs. You want to win a Super Bowl? Come to Kansas City. You've seen him do it twice over the past 4 years. He gets open with ease. I mean, him and Mahomes would have an instant connection, I would have to think. I've always admired Keenan Allen's game from afar. He plays the right way, plays with a good spirit and attitude about him. So if he's available, sign me up. I like Keenan Allen. I think he's a damn good player. Would you sign Keenan Allen if he got cut by the Chargers? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Type S for sign, P for pass when it comes to Keenan Allen. Again, I would sign him. I mean, if you could get him at could you get him like 15, 16 million? I mean, I would do a 2-year, $33, $34 million deal for him. So get your votes in, S for sign or type P for pass.